Hello, everybody. Welcome to the TechRaptor podcast nights. I'm Robert Scarpanito, your features editor.
Andrew Otten, editor-in-chief.
Rutledge Doggett, site founder.
Andrew Stretch, editor, the game.
Editor of the game, the movie, the game.
What's funny about that is that while we may be recording this at night, they never would have known.
Yeah,
this is still releasing in the normal time.
Yeah, and as we know, everyone listens to it the second it releases.
That's right.
So happy 4 a.m. West
That's
Coasters.
Hey, hope you got your cup of Joe.
Yeah, from any of your local coffee places.
Yeah.
No, this is a night shoot. You can feel the energy. I'm a little tiny buzzed, but it's appropriate because we are in a sportsy kind of space. Otten, do you want to tell the crowd what we're going to be doing today?
We are a little bit. We are going to do our own fantasy draft of a certain category. This is our first time trying it. We're calling it the Big Three after Sony and whatever the other two are. They don't matter anymore, apparently.
Good
Sega.
energy. Good energy.
Anyway, so the idea is that we're each going to create a stable of a team, quote unquote, a team of 3 games based on our category. And this week is movie tie-in games. So games based off a movie. So not something that's based off a movie franchise itself, because then that'd be like every Star Wars game ever you could use, which those aren't it unless it's a game made for the movie. Those would count. And we're going to do it in a snake draft order. So anybody that's done fantasy football or something knows what that is. But we go 1 through 4, 4 through 1, and then 1 through 4 again. Is how it'll go for our picks.
So for example, Insomniac's Marvel Spider-Man, not possible.
Does not count.
Battleship 2012 for the Nintendo DS, absolutely.
There you go. That'll count.
Does it count if it's a game that became a movie that then became a game again?
Are you talking about Street Fighter 1996? Is that what we're going?
Clearly, I'm talking about Dragon Ball Evolution for the PSP.
Yes.
How dare you snipe my...
Oh no! Well, that's a good moment. Let's see.
One of mine.
Let's see how good his number 1 pick is, because we're starting with Robert. He gets the pick first.
Yeah,
and then it'll go Stretch, and then it'll go Rutledge, and then myself. And so we'll get our 3 picks done at the end and argue who we think did the best. And of course, you guys can chime in with what you guys think is better. Mm-hmm. It'll be mine, of course, but that's fine. Anyway, Robert, what's your number 1 pick? You got to kick us off good here. I don't need no jokes, no bullshit.
That's hard. So I feel like I'm blessed and cursed because I get to pick the objectively best game in this entire stable, but also I do not get to pick again for another 8 turns.
Yeah.
Spider-Man 2 from way back in the day.
Pretty solid number 1 pick.
Yeah.
Pretty solid number 1 pick.
Spider-Man 2, the one based on the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies, not the upcoming Marvel Spider-Man 2, of course.
It's good shit.
Yes.
Can't argue with it.
Yeah, that was the first time that we had a true open world Spider-Man game, and they nailed the swinging, and it did not get better than that for a very long time. It got very worse.
For like too long of a time.
What's weird, it's like they figured out, and then everybody's like, fuck it, we don't care anymore. Like we're gonna try our own way. It's like, no, they did it.
They just gave up. That was very strange.
That's a great game though. So like most of the games we're talking about are pretty old because they don't do a lot of movie tie-in games anymore.
Yes.
You know, the last time I played Spider-Man 2 was at the orthodontist in middle school. They had they had the whole setup.
That's
man.
pretty
They're like,
rad,
are you gonna
actually.
get your teeth jacked up today? At least play some games.
Yeah, I'm gonna fight Doc Ock.
You had a cool fucking orthodontist. Can I tell you?
I did.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
Was it just that like someone had brought in a PS2, or was it like in a large cabinet with like a controller?
It was like some McDonald's ass shit.
That's what I was saying. There's still a McDonald's. I can't
dope.
remember where it's at here in Oregon that has the N64 controller still there, like set up. That's fucking rad.
Hell yeah.
That's exciting. That's super exciting.
Bring that back, McDonald's.
Is it in the same town as the last Blockbuster? Because that's in isn't that in Bend or something?
That's in Bend, yeah. Which weirdly we were just talking about before the pod, but maybe, I don't know. Weird stuff happens there.
Mm-hmm. Well, Stretch, you are next to draft.
Pick 2.
My number 1 tie-in game.
Pick 2 overall.
I will let you know that Spider-Man 2 is number 5 on my list.
Wow.
This dude's trash. We already know we're going to be the last in this one.
This
dude's the Jets of this ground. The NFL fans will know what I'm talking
I
about.
don't know what that means. No one knows.
NFL fans will know what's up.
It's like
I get that.
It's a plane that goes real fast, Josh. Don't worry about it.
Oh, okay.
Into the
Okay.
ground.
Yeah.
My number one is Toy Story 2 for the PlayStation.
That's a good pick, though.
That's a
good one.
It was for what was a very straightforward and linear, linear movie. Of course, They built Simpsons Hit and Run before Simpsons Hit and Run. Yeah. Large open free spaces, 10 objectives to finish off in each world. Go and do it. This was Mario Odyssey before Mario Odyssey. They kicked ass with this release.
It was great.
Before Odyssey, there was Woody.
Well, actually, he plays Buzz, but
Woody's not in it.
Yeah, you play as Buzz.
Woody's been stolen.
That's the whole thing.
They couldn't get Tom Hanks.
Well, I think it's part of the plot of the movie of Toy Story 2.
Yeah.
Well, you know as well that Tom Hanks only voices Tom Hanks movies. Yes. Everything else that you think you hear Tom Hanks in is his brother.
Yeah, like Kingdom Hearts 3.
His brother's gig is to
mimicking his brother.
Pretty great.
Is to be Tom Hanks, which is wild. You know that there's some like fucked up Thanksgiving conversations about like leeching and stuff.
Yeah, here's some more leftovers for you.
When you think of Woody telling an anime villain to fuck off, that's not Tom Hanks.
Nope, that's his brother.
Yes.
That was the hardest scene in that entire franchise.
No, I think it was Buzz saying, "You're from a video game. You wouldn't know. You're from a video game."
Oh god.
Toy Story 2 is good though. The game, like, it's got Andy's house. You can go everywhere in it. It's good stuff.
Oh yeah.
Good pick.
You want to pick 3?
Here's where the wheels.
So I'm gonna come in hot like the orc in the Two Towers running at the wall with Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers.
Oh, those are good. Those are good.
I just remember being a kid and fucking giggling to myself, and I was just like, "Nope," to the ladders.
Yeah. Those. Yeah. That sucks because we'll have to talk about this on my pick for one of my picks. But those, I used to play the shit out of those. Those were great.
Hey, we know how much you love it, but Lord of the Rings Gollum does not count.
Well,
did you ever play?
Let me erase my thing here.
He's got to read you his whole list.
Yeah. Did you ever play the Hobbit game? The one that
was
like
weird.
Yes,
that one was really freaking weird.
Yeah.
That came out before the movie, so that wouldn't count for this list. But yes.
No, it wouldn't count for this list. But yeah, that was a weird one.
Yeah, I remember
weird adventure-y thing. And the Fellowship of the Ring and those trilogy was different than the Two Towers and Return of the King, which were much more action-y games.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that Hobbit one I remember playing when I was a kid, and I didn't realize like, oh, this is a Lord of the Rings thing, because it was just called Hobbit.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's weird.
And it had a totally different. Its art style was a little bit more similar to the animated Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, it was more cartoony.
It's way more cartoony.
It had some 40 Winks energy to it.
You're just like sneaking around the Shire.
Yeah.
I shit you not. I was playing 40 Winks last week.
Why am I not surprised?
Why?
Well, because that's like one of the only PlayStation 1 games on Andstream Arcade, which we have a great interview with the founder on the site.
What's that site? What's that site?
TechRaptor.net, now with new and improved ads.
Ugh. Don't read it. Don't read that place.
Well, why don't you tell us your pick 4? If we can't read the site, pick 4.
So I'm not going to use this one because it's basically the same game, but it was Return of the King was one of mine. Mm-hmm. So I was debating between Two Towers. They're the same game, basically. They play exactly the same. It just plays out the story of the Return of the King instead of Two Towers. They're fucking amazing though, so that's a really good pick. Mm-hmm. I guess just because it's there, I gotta pick Goldeneye, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say someone has to have picked.
Somebody gotta go. I think Goldeneye today, if you play it, it's rough to play, but the influence it had on stuff is undeniable. Like
especially multiplayer.
multiplayer and just how much like it basically created the FPS genre on consoles. Like it created the blueprint of like, oh, this is how we should do it from now on. And most of them more or less still use that foundation. And it's a 30-year-old game almost.
Yeah.
I mean, when it came out, I played the shit out of it. It was the game to play with friends, like no question.
And everyone I know had the house rule like no odd job.
Yes, no odd job.
No odd job.
It's just so OP. Like fuck that. I'm not dealing with that. Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy to think of like the popularity of a single control stick first person shooter.
Yeah. It's so weird, and it is kind of jank, but like it's good stuff.
It is.
Yeah. Like if you've ever in your life done like couch like Halo nights, like all 4 split screen, or like even like zombies like in Call of Duty, you owe all of that to
Goldeneye.
And it's so crazy, the story of it being made so nuts. Like it was just the multiplayer was like hey, let's just do it, and they just did it like overnight, basically, like real quick. There's real fast turnaround on this game. It's so much good stuff. Like the karate chop, just how bad. Like it's just this simple. I mean, and then the anime, the sound effects for it. It's great time. Like it's rough to play now, but that's kind of like how it is for a lot of those like N64, PS1 era 3D games. It was like, boy, they were really still trying to figure it out.
Left, right.
Yeah, they weren't great for that.
And to super clarify, this is not the what was it, like 2008, 2010 remake of Goldeneye that was just
Goldeneye Reloaded.
Yeah, Goldeneye Reloaded.
I forgot they even did that. No, this is the original.
Yes.
This is the original where Pierce Brosnan's got a really wide mouth. You know what I'm talking about. That one.
Okay, so you got Goldeneye. I mean, someone had to. Like, there's no way we were walking out of this list making.
I didn't expect to get Goldeneye. I thought it'd be number 1 or 2.
It's not even on my list. I forgot about it.
What?
That's crazy. It's the first one I thought of.
That was my,
and I forgot Goldeneye.
That was my second one. That's why I was like, I know I've got number 1 like locked.
Yeah.
I know I'm not gonna get Goldeneye.
There's some good picks. So this one, maybe we might have to argue about it for a second. I don't think so. I think I'm pretty solid with it. But my second pick is going to go to, because I'm going, now we're starting the next round, essentially. That was round 1. The round 1, now we're starting round 2. I'm going in reverse order now. I'm going to go with Ratchet and Clank 2016.
That was my number 2.
So they literally use clips from the movie in the game.
Right.
And it's the story of the movie. And it's a great game. Beautiful game, super fun, classic Ratchet and Clank.
It goes deeper than that as well, because canonically the game that you are playing is Quark being a shitty narrator.
That's true.
Retelling the events because he's in prison. The PlayStation 4 game starts with Quark in prison from the end of the movie, and then it's him poorly retelling and casting himself in a better light, which makes it more faithful to the original game.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic like meta.
It's a great framing of the game. I forgot about that part. Yeah, that he was telling the story. But 2016 is a phenomenal game. Ratchet and Clank. I mean, Ratchet and Clank as a series is pretty not a bad game in it, but it's good stuff.
Yeah. And they might be jumping the gun, but that might be the most recent thing at the end.
My guess is that's going to be the newest game on this list probably.
Yeah.
Most of them are going to be early 2000s.
Yeah, because that's the thing. After 2012, I struggled to think of anything that was like.
Yeah, actually, like GoldenEye 2, Ratchet Clank might be the oldest and newest on our list. And now I don't pick again till the end, the very last pick. That's my 2.
I imagine it's a good one. But Rhett, you are
now
next.
We go back to Rutledge. Yep.
All right, I've got a prop for this one.
Oh no!
It's Genesis Lion King,
dude. That game's fucking hard. That was good. I wish I was
level with the monkeys.
Yeah,
that game's fucking hard, dude. That's back when they just made them ridiculously hard to inflate the length of the game.
I completely forgot that we had the Genesis sitting in the living room until I walked out there and told my wife what we were recording tonight, and she's like,
that one.
I was like, I have a prop.
Yeah, and if you're not watching this on YouTube, he's holding it up like Rafiki does with Simba, straight up above Pride Rock. But yeah, that was a good. That's one that was on my list too. I was like, okay, that's one where
That's one of the first ones I thought of,
people
honestly.
that ever watched or maybe listening, it's The Lion King for Sega Genesis.
Oh yes.
In case we didn't say the
Probably
name.
should say that out loud. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Lion
Lion
King
King
for Sega Genesis.
That was on my list as somewhere in there. There was actually a good, well, in case someone else picks something else, there's a good little run of Disney made video games.
I know what the other one you're referring to is.
Which other one?
I'm not saying anything.
We can't say it yet.
That's what I mean, though. I think there's so many.
I think any that we miss, we have to like at least call out. At the
we
end
should
of
do
this.
some honorable mentions at the end of this. Yeah,
I feel like once we're all done drafting, I would love to hear all of Stretch's joke options, all of my joke options, and then all of the.
I have no joke options. I take this seriously. I'm not gonna fuck around.
As I would expect from someone who is.
I only have one
football
joke
Slack
option.
channel,
and it's not even a joke.
Me and two other people.
I just wanted to make sure that at some point today we give a shout out to PlayStation 1 Hagrid.
Wow. Already giving away your second.
Hold on. Well, we're going to have to talk about that one in a minute.
Okay.
That might be Rhett's third pick. Oh, shit.
Oh, no, he's so wrong.
Okay, so you've got the Lion King for the Genesis.
Yes, sir.
Stretch, you are up next.
So I think that this one is also one that may potentially be in contention. But I already said my pick number 2 was Ratchet and Clank, but my next pick is going to be Lego Star Wars for PlayStation 2.
That's a fair pick. I had it on my list.
It is a trilogy, but it released the same year as Episode 3. And the game encompasses Episode 1, 2, and 3. And not only that, but just like the historical significance of what kicked off Lego video games. Like we had Lego Island and Lego Builder and Rock Raiders beforehand, but like this was a new age of Lego, and it was so much fun.
Not only that, but I think that the Lego games, like this, especially start with that one, it was like the first time we actually felt like in a game you're playing through a movie. Because like there's a bunch of movie tie-in games, but there's always like a bunch of weird extra shit that they just threw in because it wasn't really following the movie. Where Lego movies, like they had their humor in it, but like you were seeing the same location, same thing in a movie, and you were going from scene to scene. Essentially, it didn't have a bunch of extra superfluous nonsense like a lot of movie tie-in games do have. And that was like, oh shit, I'm actually playing Star Wars. Yeah.
Was like you'd have the movie tie-in game that would be like, we need to take 90 minutes and stretch it to 6 hours.
Yeah.
But the Lego was just like, oh, we've got like 9 hours and we need to cram it into 2. Easy. Yeah. Don't worry about it. We'll pick highlights.
Good time. And I still vividly remember when I was playing it, my dad was, because my dad's a huge Star Wars guy, so he wanted to see what was up. And it was the first game I remember being like, oh my God, you see these fucking reflections everywhere? And how good they looked? Because it was like that was a crazy technical moment. I was like, oh fuck, that was the first game I remember like, man, they got it, like nailed it. I vividly remember that.
Yeah, and that kicked off the whole thing. Like they just created game after game from there, and none of them have been particularly bad either.
They're not bad, they're just like, boy, that's the Lego game. Yeah, they're the same thing. They're the same thing over and over again.
I mean, here we are now, right? With like Lego Skywalker Saga, right? Which is like all 9 episodes.
Which I'd say, like, if you wanted to say that one, like Lego Star Wars.
I had that one on the list too. I put both of them.
Yeah, that's a good pick.
Excellent.
So now it's back to me, right?
Yeah, and you get to make
2 picks. Yeah, you get to make. This is it. You got 2 picks and you're done.
I knew what my second pick was, and I wanted to wait for my third, but this sucks. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna go with X-Men Origin Wolverine.
Ooh.
Okay.
I'm gonna need to hear the argument for this one.
Okay, here's the thing. That game was surprisingly bloody. Surprisingly, like took the M rating seriously. The movie, fucking not great. But
I love Deadpool. What are you talking about?
Hey, that's Indiana Jones director you're talking about.
So are you saying that for once the game was better than the movie?
Potentially, I only played the demo a bunch of times as a kid, so I don't know how it ends. It could end the same terrible way as the movie.
So specifically, you're not saying the game; you're saying the demo.
The demo, the X-Men Origins : Wolverine demo.
There we go.
It's a game : demo. Like we can probably get an EM dash in there somewhere too. Come on, we're writers. We know what we're talking about.
Yeah, but it was surprisingly good, surprisingly fun, surprisingly like really good action combat to it. That was surprisingly gritty and just really delivered on like that Wolverine fantasy of like you've got those like the 3 claw mark is very like iconic when you see Wolverine do it, and the game just kind of delivers on it in a way that's really nice. So I don't know, it's just something that stuck out to me and from my childhood of like this is a really interesting movie tie-in game.
Wish I knew
will
more
say there
about
are
it.
parts of the internet that agree with you.
Yeah, it is.
I was doing a little bit of search, seeing what people thought were the best, and some of them I was like, and others I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, this is not a full-throated endorsement to be like, I'm gonna go buy a copy right now and play this game.
Yeah.
There's probably better ones out there. But I enjoyed it for what it was. I'm just like going through my childhood of memories with the game, and I was like, okay, this is pretty cool.
If you like that, you'd probably like the Deadpool game that came later too.
I
don't think you can buy that anymore, right?
I don't think you buy it. That one was gratuitous.
I think you can get it like a used physical copy.
Yeah,
I think that's the only way to get it now.
I mean, I think
just pirate it. I mean, I'm not saying you should pirate stuff. I'm not advocating.
Borrow it.
I'm saying that's a way you could potentially get it.
Right, if you had to.
If there's no other option or something.
If you had to.
Theoretically, a person out there could do that. Theoretically.
Yeah.
I don't know. You might still be able to find it at a GameStop somewhere.
Yeah. I have an old recycled game store like in town. I can just go there.
You can't even find the CFO at GameStop anymore.
Topical.
Wow.
This will do well in 3 days.
Look at that. We managed to fit some news in.
Yes.
I'm bringing back the old format. My likes are not liking that.
What's number 3?
That's the thing. So for my last, I in doing this list, it made me realize how many really shitty movie tie-in games I've played in my lifetime. So most of the
games that are just, most of their libraries that.
Yeah. So like I have a sticky note with 16 names on here, right? All of them, most of them are bad. So I was hoping to get like to be the last pick, so I could be, I could snatch whatever good is left.
We can have you be the last one. It's our.
We're gonna give him a gimme.
Hey, sports doesn't give a shit about my feelings.
This is how it is. You're on the clock. That's part of the pressure.
Is it?
You're on the clock.
Man,
I also have a salary cap.
Okay, I'm gonna flip a coin here. I'm gonna go with Dragon Ball Evolution for the PSP.
It was a really good game.
Because that game is just Dragon Ball Budokai with really fucking weird like skins based on the characters in the movie. But Dragon Ball Budokai itself is a fucking decent game. So that's my third pick. That's what I'm going with. The worst Dragon Ball movie in the world.
Yeah, they literally just took the game that existed. They didn't even like alter many moves. They just took the anime like model of Goku and wire wrapped Justin Chaswin around him. That Dragon Ball movie was so bad that James Masters, who was Spike in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, personally reached out to Chris Sabat, who is the voice of Vegeta and is also the voice director on the English dub of DBZ, and asked what he could do to make up for it. And that's how James Masters got the vocal role of Zenitsu in Dragon Ball Super.
Zenitsu? Wait? This is a Demon Slayer character, right?
No, Zamasu.
Zamasu. Oh yeah, the fucking.
That's it. Sorry, the other anime Z name.
Yeah. So that's Dragon Ball.
I finished watching the latest season of Demon Slayer yesterday.
This is all beyond me. My Dragon Ball knowledge ends at Boo.
Dragon Ball is the OG Goku, if that helps. The Goku.
I know who Goku is.
Yeah.
Goku.
Yes.
Otten, you should watch Dragon
Mr.
Ball
Goku.
Evolution. You'd love it.
Oh.
I don't know.
Nope.
I'm looking at Scrappy. I trust him more than you.
I love
amazing.
Dragon Ball.
I trust him more than
do not recommend Evolution.
No.
But that's it. That's my third pick. So that kicks it back to Stretch.
Excellent. Well, I think that my third pick will probably be something that did not entirely cross people's minds. I know that you're a very musically inclined person, Scrappy, so I have a feeling that you may be kicking yourself. But Scott Pilgrim vs. the World.
I was surprised it didn't come up till now.
So that's the other one I was debating between Dragon Ball and Scott Pilgrim. I am not the biggest fan of the movie, if I'm being honest. So I also didn't play the game.
People love the game.
Yes.
Game was really good. The soundtrack was incredible. Anamanaguchi went off on that.
Yeah, I've heard good things because I know that it came back the past couple of years, right? Like limited run games kind of brought it back.
Last year or the year before, they finally brought it back.
They brought it back, and then they talk about doing something more with it, or like doing some more, or something like that was part of the rumor. I don't know. At least it was being talked about.
Well, we know that we're now getting the anime for Scott Pilgrim vs. the World from Netflix. So I would not be surprised if we saw some more stuff happening with that in the near future.
Or that, or is it on mobile yet? Like it could just become one of the Netflix games.
Oh yeah.
Too,
Oh, that'd be great.
Because they actually, like, surprisingly, if you go look at I know this is an aside, they're not related to this, but if you go look at the games that's on Netflix's like rotation of stuff, like things you can use, there are actually a lot of really good games.
Yeah.
It's a pretty big library.
Is Oxenfree 2 on it right now? Yep.
I think it was a Netflix published game, even, or produced. Like they were big in it. They helped with it a lot.
That's very cool.
But yeah, Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Trust me, I that was the one I was wrestling with between that.
Okay, cool.
I only use Netflix for not watching the third season of The Witcher.
Wish I had more to say about Scott. I never played it either. I just know that people liked it quite a bit.
That was just a really fun side scroller beat 'em up.
Because I think it even came out at a time where like we were at, it was like it'd been a while since, I mean, they had their heyday a long time ago, so it'd been a minute since one had come out that was pretty good. And I remember
it was also like
part of that.
That was definitely in the like early infancy heyday of like Xbox Live Arcade and like the early idea of like small digital only indies.
Yeah. That's right.
It was like everyone had Castle Crashers and Scott Pilgrim on their 360 kind of situation.
Right.
And then Fat Princess on PS3.
Yeah.
Oh man, I haven't thought about that game in a while. That was super popular.
It was. It was pretty fun too.
Yeah. Well, right. It's time for your last pick.
That's right. Last one.
I'm down to
your last fucking weird one.
One serious, but it's also in the same vein as my first pick. And then kind of two joke picks.
Yeah.
Is it Return of the King?
War in the North.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh wait.
Would that count?
Is that
that a tie-in?
That was happening concurrently with Fellowship. So like the party that you're playing is trying to distract Sauron while the Fellowship is trying to make their way.
I don't know if that one counts.
But
I don't know
was
if
it a
that's
movie
tie.
To be fair, it was on Wikipedia's list, but I will throw a different one out.
I don't know if that one. I know which one you're talking about. That was the one where it was like an action-y game, right? That wasn't the
4-player. Yeah.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Because I was thinking of the RTS.
You have an eagle that helps you, just like it should have happened in the books in the movie.
Just like
there's a lore reason they explain that.
Okay, well, hey, like
they may actually explain it in the game, to be honest.
Reading the plot of Wikipedia, the game begins with Eredin, voiced by Nolan North, Andriel, Laura Bailey, and Farin, Fred Tatsiclor, arriving in the Prancing Pony in Bree, where they met Aragorn, informing him that 3 days previously, the Dunedain Guard at Sandford, Jesus Christ, was attacked by the Nazgul who passed into the Shire.
Okay.
So yeah, I think that it. I mean, it definitely.
It's
happening the exact same
tangentially.
time. Yeah.
It's yeah.
I'll say it's tangential. So let me
they're
throw out
like
a different
kissing.
pick. And Otten made fun of me for fun of me for this one. It's Star Wars Episode 1: The Phantom Menace on PS1.
Phantom Menace. It made
I don't know why.
I
That
played
was
that game.
Okay, so that was the first game I ever bought with my own money.
Oh, so this
that
is
explains a lot
so
about
it's
you.
like it's
This is why you
nostalgic,
have an
but also I beat
emotional
it like
attachment to it.
47 times.
You mean the guy
Episode
with
1.
5 lightsaber disc plates, a stormtrooper helmet, Baby Yoda, a Mandalorian helmet, who proudly supports mental health, is a Star Wars fan?
That last part doesn't fit with them, but all the other stuff is a normal
Captain
Star Wars
Rex,
fan.
thank you, not a Mandalorian.
That's true. That's Captain
And
Rex.
that's Star Wars: The Old Republic.
Oh,
that's still a Mandalorian helmet, though.
It's still a Mandalorian helmet, but
so I was dummy.
Right,
Stretch. Why didn't you know?
That's Revan's mask.
Yeah, why didn't you know that was Captain Rex's helmet? You fucking moron.
You dullard. You Star Wars idiot.
Yeah, you don't know anything.
Hey man, when they start putting out good movies, I'll start paying attention.
Well, that hasn't happened in 40 years, so.
Yeah, if you didn't say it, I would have.
Actually, minus the second two. No.
And the prequels are good.
And the only reason the first one is phenomenal. The mall scene.
I can't do it. For the what scene?
The whole movie.
The
mall scene. The fighting on Naboo.
Oh, when you said mall, I was thinking like a shopping mall. I was like, what the fuck?
I was thinking like
we
Wonder Woman 84 for some reason is where my brain went to.
I was like, my God. I mean, Duel of the Fates is an all-timer in terms of music.
That scene just gives me chills, bro. Every time.
Was there a really fucking hard level or something in Phantom Menace? I remember playing
There was one that just I had to restart the game a couple times.
It was a weird game.
I didn't have enough ammo or something.
The Gungan map? Like
the Gungan map, I remember being a real pain in the ass.
Yeah, and the droidicas were pains as well.
Yeah. It was. I remember. Yeah, it wasn't. I mean, it did have pretty good like representations of stuff in the movie.
It's pretty much one-to-one story-wise too, like the locales.
Yeah, because I think it even had like low-res clips from the movie, didn't it? In it,
mm-hmm.
Yeah, like they didn't look great because they like had to fit it in the game
style stuff. Just real.
That's what it looked like, but it was a clip from the game.
Yeah,
it was. I mean, if it came out at the same time that the movie came out in 2001,
it came out
99, right?
No, I think it might have came out like 6 months after the movie.
99, yeah.
Yeah.
So it was a rough time for. I mean, 99 is when Final Fantasy 9 came out. That puts it in perspective for people's minds of where things were at.
Some people do call Final Fantasy 9 the Phantom Menace of the Final Fantasy games, from what I hear. For sure, yeah.
I will not take the bait. I will not take it.
Yeah. Okay, this brings us back to Auden as the final.
My last pick. This I got an off the wall one that I'm not sure will work.
Have you seen my picks?
Fair. Yeah. I mean I'm not worried about having to beat you in the end.
Wow.
Because there's one other one that's really good, but I kind of want to go with the off the wall pick a little bit.
Risk it for the biscuit.
I threw out my goofy one.
I threw out both of my goofy ones. Come on, do it.
Well, this isn't goofy, but all right, fuck it. I'll go for it. I'm going to go with Tron, the original Tron game that came out. So this is the actual oldest game on our list now.
Classic, yeah.
So for most of it, it's got a few modes, like a few different game modes that you play in it, which are mostly forgettable, except the light bike stuff. That shit rocks, dude. To this day, like a basic game that is the exact same thing is still super fun. It's kind of like Snake. You make your own snake to try to kill people. It's like the original game of that, and this came out in what, 87, 86, something like that. And it was amazing right away. Like that game, fucking rad. I want to say there was arcade cabinets of that too.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But it's good shit. It's like the original. It's a video game movie where the movie takes place in a video game, and it's a game about the movie. Like, it fits the bill pretty well, I think here.
Yeah, they added a light bikes mode to GTA Online. Like,
did they?
Did they?
Yeah.
Wait, like an
GTA
official,
Online doesn't have though.
like a Rockstar sanctioned.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty rad, dude.
Yeah,
Like, that's such a cool mode.
You can either play it top down, or you can play it like regular third person view. And you're in a Tron light cycle, and you've got the beam.
That's fucking
then
cool.
You've also got like jump power ups and speed ups and stuff.
Well, with how much fun bikes are
huge.
in the GTA series.
Yeah, no kidding.
Why would you ever steal a car from somebody? Steal their bike.
Like, I think
Kingdom Hearts around 2, the city.
Kingdom Hearts 2 had a Tron.
There's a boss fight.
And there's a boss fight that's like kind of like it, right? Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That was a lot more on rails. But
yeah. It's the Tron game's got a long heritage to it. A lot of games reference it. A lot of specifically the light bike stuff. And that mode's just, it's so classic. It was 1-on-1 where you are just running around making walls and trying to kill each other off. And it snakes behind you, so the wall like dissipates, so it's not like full all the time, the whole map. And it's super quick, super fast. I remember I had a computers class. It was so bold. The teacher was an IT guy that got his teaching license. And like, for the most part, we just fucked around. And one of the things was like, he's like, yeah, use this as a lesson to make our own server. And one of the things we had was a Tron game, and so we tried to make it to where we could all play Tron in the classroom. And so then it just became, whenever there was nothing to do, we'd all be playing Tron, trying to kill each other. But it's good shit. I love it. It's a good game. Just classically.
One thing to mention in TechRaptor fashion, there is a game called Laser Riders. It's a board game that is basically Tron.
That's interesting.
And it's pretty dope.
Hell yeah.
That's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Let's look at that.
All right. Well, that's all of our lists. So we can go around in a circle, go through our stables, and then go over like what our jokes.
Honorable mentions are. Yeah, which ones didn't make the cut.
Yeah.
Who else was on our draft board?
Yeah. So should we go over just like in draft order?
Yeah, go for it.
Sure.
Okay. I'll kick it off. I got Spider-Man 2, the classic game. You can play it on PlayStation 2, if I remember right, and the GameCube. Great action, great web swinging. Still arguably, maybe still some of the best web swinging in any Spider-Man video game. At least definitely before Insomniac's Spider-Man.
Yeah, I think that Insomniac's the only one that's beaten it.
Yeah, right. Like that's it. And that's what, like 18 years?
Something like that. Yeah.
For a while, yeah.
Multiple generations.
Sticking to the Marvel formula here with X-Men Origins Wolverine, specifically the demo that I played a lot as a kid. That game was pretty rad. It was just an action game that like really just sold the like it earned the M rating before the Wolverine movies did. You know what I mean? Like,
damn, that's cold.
That's kind of cool though that it did that.
Yeah.
And then Dragon Ball Evolution, because it's basically Dragon Ball Budokai with like the most haunted version of it, but the skeleton is still there, the gameplay is still there, and that's what I'm going to stick with.
Excellent. Well, I had Toy Story 2, that was, arguably one of the better like open stage games for the entire PlayStation 1 library.
Yes, it's true.
Lego Star Wars, the one that kicked off the repetitive franchise. And Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, just an incredibly fun beat 'em up, great graphics, fantastic music. I still listen to that soundtrack like to this day. I pulled it up today as I was looking over licensed titles.
Hell yeah.
For me, Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers. Nothing like yeeting some orcs off the top of a very tall tower.
It's great.
Lion King on Genesis. Kicking the ladders. Lion King on Genesis, despite being probably still one of the hardest games to play.
It's stupid hard.
It's just dummy hard.
The Dark Souls of Lion type games.
The Dark Souls of side scrollers.
I was thinking it's the Echo the Dolphin, but with a lion.
And then Star Wars: The Phantom Menace, the official video game for the movie.
It's wild to me.
Oh yeah.
Round us out with the newest and the oldest.
That's funny list. Mine's definitely the most old school list, other than one game. My first pick, Goldeneye, 007. I think it's crazy this wasn't the first pick. I mean, Spider-Man 2 is also a very good number one pick. Goldeneye, it is like kind of it's the first game I thought of when I thought of movie tie-ins. It's like, oh yeah, that one's like really good.
Yeah, honestly, that's probably the game where when you clicked on this episode to watch it, you were like, Goldeneye has to be here.
Goldeneye's got to be up there.
It's crazy that it's almost a game that is larger than the movie. Like you forget that it is a movie tie-in because
it's true.
Goldeneye.
It's true. It's Goldeneye as a game. It stands in gaming's history much larger than Goldeneye the movie does, and even just the James Bond filmography. For sure. It's the classic. It is the formula for all FPSs on console. They all started there. So all of you Call of Duty fans owe it to Pierce Brosnan.
Nicki Minaj and Call of Duty. You owe that.
That's right.
To Pierce Brosnan. It's his fault.
It all goes back to that. And then the newest game on our list, any of our lists, Ratchet & Clank 2016 for the PS4. Just classic, good old game. Looks great. I think it's the first time people are like, oh my god, we're getting to like Pixar-like graphics in a game. It felt like animation, like an animated movie in a game, which is pretty rad. And Ratchet & Clank games are just fun. Yeah, it's good stuff.
It's good shit.
And then the last one, my wild card is the Tron. That I'm sure a lot of people have not played and have not even thought about the movie in a long time. Even though Tron Legacy with the Daft Punk soundtrack, pretty good.
Dude, that soundtrack,
it's good stuff. But yeah, it's great. It's referenced frequently, even if people don't know it. And it's just a super simple but classic gameplay that would still stand to this day. I think people would still enjoy just that basic idea. Now that's a game that's almost 50 years old. Think how wild that is to say. Almost 50 years old.
Yeah, that is kind of crazy.
It's just nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, it's almost 40 years old. I can't 40, do math.
Yeah.
But
50. There are games out there that are 50
games that almost 50.
Anyway,
is there a Pong game? Would Tetris have counted? Because there's the Tetris game now.
Yes, there's a Pong game. Yes, there's a Tetris game.
I mean, a Tetris movie. There's a Tetris movie with Tetris of canon.
Is there
Tetris? If you haven't watched the Tetris movie,
game?
Watch the Tetris movie.
I don't know. Is there a Tetris the movie, the game?
I doubt it.
There should be.
Probably not.
The closest is like there's that one Tetris Worlds. I think Ubisoft made it back in the day, where it's like a story mode of the Tetraminos trying to survive. Like they're all people.
What?
They're all individual creatures.
This is just sounding more and more like Wreck-It Ralph.
Yeah. A little, yeah.
Well, does anybody have any honorable mentions or something that didn't quite make it on your list that you would like to mention now?
Aladdin.
Aladdin was it was between Tron and Aladdin were the two that I was thinking of.
Yeah,
Aladdin would have been a more traditional. Aladdin specifically the Genesis version, not the SNES version.
I did not
Genesis
have that
version is better.
I did also have the PS1 Hercules game on my list because I have that. I have the wind up punch sound effect burned into my brain. You know?
Yeah. One that I remember that I think it's a trash game, but I remember playing a lot was they made a Grinch game based on the Jim Carrey Grinch movie.
Yeah, that's on my list too. It's right there. Yes, it's so bad. No, it's so good.
That was the one that you could like climb on the roofs of buildings and like huck snowballs, right?
Yeah.
Yes. And you could wear the mask that he wears when he's like pretending to be a Whovian, a Whoville person.
Whovian.
Yeah. Whovian, yeah.
But who's on first? With Disney Hercules, you crossed off the last one on my serious list.
Now we're in jokes territory.
Now it's time to truly give PS1 Hagrid his time to shine.
Yeah, I mean, Chamber of Secrets.
I remember
had
that being one.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
surprisingly.
I remember there being a
That was a
decent
semi-serious
RPG,
one for me.
one on the Game Boy Color that I played. Was that the Chamber of Secrets? Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, so that's the crazy thing is that to say Chamber of Secrets means such wildly different things.
There's
the
quite a few
PlayStation
games.
1 was basically just a reskin of the Philosopher's Stone with a little bit more.
Yep.
The PC version was massive, had full outdoor flight, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, it was way more
And then
expanded.
the Game Boy Color one was a tough as nails RPG.
It was a turn-based thing because that's the one I played.
Yeah.
So I remember I was fighting rats as fucking Harry Potter.
Mm-hmm.
Did they all release around the same time too? Like all three versions?
Yeah, they would do that. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Because the first thing you do in the Chamber of Secrets on the Game Boy Color is you go to Diagon Alley, and then you've got to go into the sewers to get an item,
rats.
and those rats will fucking destroy you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Get your shit kicked in.
Real strong person to kill a rat. Shout out to Jocko, our resident New Yorker.
You got the Italians confused.
I did. I started with the J sound.
Yeah, Jocko kicked a rat just walking down the street.
Yeah, it's classic New York.
That's
things,
just living in New
It
York.
wasn't Pizza Rat, so it's okay.
Yeah.
I had the Iron Man 2008 game on my list.
I forgot about that game.
Forgot about that one. Yeah.
We're getting into mediocre territory here.
On the flip side,
to be fair, we're not. Most of the Italian games are not far above mediocre, even the good ones.
On the flip side, Giaco said the new Iron Man in VR is really good.
That's
Iron Man VR is apparently pretty rad.
See, what I remember from the Iron Man 2008 game is that flying around as Iron Man, it felt pretty cool because like you're just flying around, and then the rest of the gameplay starts, and it's kind of like, oh well.
Guess I have to play this.
Yeah.
I am. Oh.
If we do want to dive all the way into infamous territory, we've got to talk about E.T.
Yeah.
Have you ever played it? I've never played it.
I've never played it
because all the copies are in a landfill.
Yeah,
not anymore.
I thought about putting ET on my list. I was like, that's like documentary infamous. You know what I mean? It's kind of like the boring. It's like intellectually infamous, not fun infamous.
I mean, that was like the start of the video game crash, pretty much, wasn't it? They were.
I think it's definitely the poster child for it.
Yeah, that it was like video games were too big; they could never crash, and oh boy, did they crash?
Yeah, they bet on that big time, and the bet did not pay off. I mean, it was the #1 grossing movie, so they're like, "Oh shit, we got this in the bag."
Yeah,
crank this sucker out, people will buy it. Yeah,
the only sales that increased were Reese's Pieces.
Yeah.
Turns out if you have an award-winning brand and property, if you make a shit video game, it's still not going to sell.
It's still a shit game, yeah.
Yeah, Exhibit B, Avatar, the video game.
I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, there was it was also by Ubisoft.
I believe there's a game.
It was also by Ubisoft. They've had
Redemption.
They've had a video game property license for Avatar and then we're talking the Blue People Avatar, not The Last Airbender, which there is also The Last
There's
Airbender
also
game based specifically on the live action movie. Well, there are other, animation, ones too.
Yeah.
But I'm talking the Blue People Avatar, the game. Also, it did not crash the video game industry, but it's just another example of like you've got a movie that sells gangbusters and then the game
So you can't just shovel out a game and hope the name will be enough.
Do you know what the Avatar video game had in it that little to no other games had? A native 3D mode that could work with 3D TVs.
Oh,
James Cameron was like, "This is a necessity. If you're gonna make this game, it must have this feature."
Yes.
Yeah, remember
that was his vision.
How that they came and went like immediately.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we traded them out for 120 hertz TVs.
My grandpa's got a 3D TV.
Yeah, I kind of enjoyed the 3D TVs. I'm not gonna lie.
We've watched 3D. I own some 3D movies because we've watched 3D movies.
Oh,
does the 3D TV that you have, can it do like the Force 3D? Like it can take something 2D and make it 3D?
I don't remember. think so. I don't remember it doing that, but I honestly don't think I've like fucked with it to know. I just put in a 3D movie.
Could those TVs do that?
Yeah, my folks had a
yeah.
3D TV that could have like a Force 3D happen. The most incredible movie I ever watched on it was Disney's Hercules, ironically enough.
Hell yeah.
Because the colors, and I guess, however the TV interpreted it, because the colors were all so well defined and like so separated, it could do a fantastic job of layering.
That makes sense.
But then when you have the 3D CG Hydra that shows up in the middle of it, that popped. That was incredible. And it was more like the recessed 3D of the 3DS versus like the eye-popping 3D of like IMAX.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I don't know of any other video games that use the 3D
I can't
power.
think of one. Yeah, I don't think there is
I know
one.
none off the top of my head that had native.
I'm sure there's got to be something. But
Probably.
I
I also have a Shrek written down here. And for context, all my other ones have like extra notes to it. I just wrote Shrek because I know they made one for each of the 4 movies.
Yeah,
And
I don't know what they are.
I didn't look into any of them beyond that because I saw all their Metacritic scores and it was not impressive.
Not very good.
Not good.
No. I do own a copy of Shrek, I think for PS2 over on my shelf. Never played it.
Why not? You need to play it now.
I don't know how I came across it, if I'm being honest.
Just showed up in your house one day.
Yeah.
Cursed object.
Same reason I haven't Ouya.
Don't open it. You might get you might be dead in a week.
I might get Michael Myers coming after me,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck?
He'll be like, "Oh, are you Randy, baby?" When he opens the door. No.
Stress, you made a noise. What's up with you?
Call of Duty Black Ops has a native 3D mode.
Wow.
For PS3 and 360.
The best quality. Okay.
I would be interested to see.
This is a weirdly deep list. Like, there's a bunch of sport games: Top Spin, Pro Evolution, Dynasty Warriors 7, God of Thunder, Gears of War.
What the fuck with a 3D Dynasty Warriors?
Man, so there's
Batman
a lot of
Arkham City had a 3D mode.
So there's a lot of depth to this list, is what you're saying.
Okay.
So, it's too bad. Like when I was looking up lists, like trying to just recall games. There's some I've always heard of, but I've never played. Like Rockstar made the Warriors game based on the Warriors movie.
Oh.
And apparently that's a really, really fun, cool game that's definitely gets the vibe of the movies. But I've never played it. But I know that those are. It's apparently pretty excellent, well-made game. It's weirdly one of those Rockstar games because people are like, "Oh yeah, they're just Grand Theft Auto, right?" And it's like, well, actually, like they've done a few other things, but it's been a bit.
Yeah, I mean, hey, they do Red Dead Redemption.
Oh yeah, that game that isn't as popular. It's still wildly popular. But,
yeah.
Weirdly, another one that I kept seeing pop up everywhere, but never played and still no interest in it because I never gave a shit about any of the movies, was a Chronicles Riddick game that apparently is pretty rad that I don't know anything about.
I think somebody said that in Slack yesterday.
Yeah. Escape from Butcher Bay, but looking at it, it's a tie-in prequel to the movie. So I guess it isn't necessarily, I guess it's literally, it's not the movie story, but it is the story, the prequel's I guess, is related directly to the movie. Right. I know old Mr. Vin Diesel's a big gaming guy. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure that it is story canonically important.
Oh shit! No one picked any of the Fast and Furious games.
No, I'll be honest. I didn't know there were games until I started researching for this episode.
I learned about a lot of games I did not know existed, probably because they were all trash.
Yeah,
you're learning like why the 360 library was so as big as it was.
Yeah, like this exercise unlocked a lot of like not core memories, like cursed memories of games that I knew existed and never played as a kid. Like I joked about Battleship 2012 earlier. That's a real ass video game based on the movie that's based on the board game.
Yeah.
And those games, from what I remember, looked awful. Unfortunately. So I never bothered playing them. But then I still have Battleship 2012 written on this list. You know, um,
Yeah.
yeah, that's like one of the ones where it's like I have it here, never played it. I think the only other one that I haven't said out loud that I have actually played is the final or not final, Fantastic Four 2005, uh, the one based on the 2005 movie with, was it
Okay.
Chris Evans, the Human Torch?
Yeah, the one is
Yep.
with Captain
Chris
America.
Evans.
Yeah, and Jessica
Alba.
Alba was,
The Invisible Woman.
Invisible Woman.
Sue Storm.
Sue Storm. I don't remember who played any of the other people.
The thing was the guy from it's Michael whatever. He's from that fucking cop show on FX that I can't remember the name of right now.
Michael Chiklis.
Michael Chiklis. There you go.
Ah, yes. But yeah, I played that game fully as a kid, and that game was just okay.
It's crazy when you were younger, the games that you would play, and you look back now and you're like,
well, it was a interesting time for games in their kind of like pre-adolescent times. I would say where enough people were starting to get into making them, they could make them relatively quick and relatively cheaply for this type of game, and they were all just going to try and cash in and trick grandma into buying you this trash for your birthday, kind of stuff. And there was so many of them. Now games 200,
$300 million budgets.
Yeah, games take too much time now.
Yeah.
But also there was definitely like a key something that I always hear people talking about with like Star Wars and like movies back in the days is that like, you know, we're absolutely spoiled that like there are some movies that are still in cinema right now that are already streaming direct to home.
Yeah.
But like back in the day, you'd watch Star Wars in the cinema. Home video wasn't a thing.
The VHS would come out like 16 months later.
Yeah, so like to be able to say like, oh, I just watched Lord of the Rings: The Two Tower, that was amazing. Oh, there's a video game. Like that was the outlet to experience more or to re-experience the movie experience. And now that's just not a problem, and we just don't
Star Wars
have tie-ins anymore.
A good example to use that because Star Wars is kind of the first film that really went all in on like licensing and merch. No other franchise had really done that. Like Kenner making all the toys all at once to come out relatively the same time as the stuff people probably don't care about.
There's an episode on Netflix of the toys you love.
Oh, the toys that made us.
The toys that made us. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
about
a big
the Star Wars stuff. That's super interesting.
Yeah, no movie had really done that before at the same time. And they had a very early Star Wars game. It was just called Star Wars. It came out.
Star Wars and then Super Star Wars.
Yeah, that was the SNES one.
Yeah,
I played Super Star Wars on Antstream Arcade last week as well.
Yeah. That's a good game.
Where it seems not related at all to the movie. It's just like, what is going on?
Yeah,
it's just Luke is who you're playing.
Yeah, but I think that does say a lot about because we've been kind of commenting throughout this little draft process, right? Of how Ratchet and Clank is the latest game in on all of our lists because there's just this moving away from these licensed games. So I think way back in the day they were treated like I think part of it is like a substitute for the home video experience, but also
it's marketing.
It's marketing, but it's also another toy. Like you can buy the action figure and then you buy the video game.
It says probably a lot for how cheaply they were being made because of how frequently off like even like not super humongous big budget movies were getting them.
Yeah.
And they were just really quickly put together, pretty cheaply. So I mean, if you think about how like the early days of 3D, it makes sense of why it happened. Like it's pretty easy to reuse modeling and do that kind of stuff pretty quickly, copy paste. Pixel art's like fuck, we still have to do some like art or something. But I
will say too, I think companies are more careful with licensing these days.
Yeah.
Period. Like back then it was like, oh, you want to make toys? Here's a license. Oh, you do too? Here's another license. Now it's kind of like, no, only certain people get specific licenses.
Unless your Games Workshop for some reason, they just let fucking anybody make it.
Anyone take it. Yeah. But I think part of it too is I think the cultural perception of video games now, right? Because I think games now are kind of recognized as like bigger than just, oh, that thing you attach to a movie, right?
Yeah.
Now they're just a whole, like, everyone kind of knows what Grand Theft Auto is, whether they know
Mhm.
about it through Fox News or they know about it because it's like the biggest selling piece of media, period.
Ever. Yeah.
Right, like dot, end of story. So I think there's just that difference in perception too that shifts the way that we all look at games. Where now, if they're gonna make a Spider-Man game, it's gonna be its own Spider-Man game. It's not gonna be like Tom Holland, right?
Yeah, something
Uh,
like that, or like I think Rhett was on something like I think companies have realized like, oh, us retaining the rights to this license stuff and being careful with it is smart because it could be worth a lot of fucking money.
mhm.
Yeah.
It could really pay off if they do it right, because games make a lot of money.
Yes.
I mean, you look at like IPs like Star Wars and Lord of the Rings and how restrictive those rights have become as well. Like
Yeah.
looking at the Rings of Power, for example, and what they were allowed to do versus what they weren't. Like you literally can't make any reference to any of the movies or the books.
Well, that was it because of the specific
mind-boggling.
licensing they had.
Yeah. But like that's how companies are controlling licensing these days. Like I think back then it was like, yeah, do whatever, and now it's like, no, you can only do these specific things.
Like we live in a world where I struggle to even imagine what it would be like if they made, Star Wars episode 7, 8, and 9, if they made like and the video game for all of those. I don't even know what that would look like in 20, what was it, 15, 17, and
Nothing
19,
good.
right?
I don't
Yeah.
know.
But yeah, I mean, so you have the extra complication of those movies being of, depending who you ask, questionable quality, but also just what would that video game look like today, right?
So
I don't know.
Oh, hello,
I did
car.
pull up Wikipedia's list of video games based on films and did a bit of a control F to find what the newest licensed game that released at the same time as a movie was. Now there is meant to be a Shin Kamen Rider video game that would be out this year with Shin Kamen Rider. But prior to that, the first licensed movie tie-in game I could find was Space Jam: A New Legacy.
Wait.
Wow.
Speak more, please.
Wow.
What system did this?
A tie-in video game, but released by Digital Eclipse. It was released exclusively on Xbox Game Pass Ultimate.
Wait!
Pass
Oh,
game.
wait! That has unlocked a core memory for me. I feel like I remember this now.
Oh, jeez.
Pixel art, right?
Digital Eclipse has also worked on arcade ports and the TMNT Cowabunga collection. They did Space Jam: A New Legacy, the game.
Wow.
Can I substitute Spider-Man 2 for this?
No, sorry, man. The picks are made.
Too late.
The picks are made. Sorry, pal.
Shame.
We're done.
But I mean, kind of going back to what we were saying about like how, a game would need, or a game would be tied into a movie because it was a toy. It was an accessory to go with it. That's so interesting to listen to that as we've just gotten a new trailer for the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. Where
the flip side.
Looking forward to we're all excited for the second season of Halo. The God of War TV show.
That hasn't been canceled yet?
No, it has not. I don't think so, at least. But it's so interesting now that it's, where video games were chasing after the entertainment industry, buy our game. It's now a flip. Like games have obtained that level of legitimacy that it's now Hollywood chasing
Maybe
after
in
these blockbusters.
20 years, we'll do the reverse list of best movie based on a game. That list is rough at the moment.
Yeah, what's our short list? It's like
pretty good entries.
Could we include TV shows too? Because I feel like
that's
The
what
Last
makes
of
it
Us
hard.
is it?
I can even like
there's
Beyond
some
Halo and sort of The Witcher
video game movies. I mean,
what do you mean, like Super Mario, Sonic the Hedgehog?
Sonic movie. I guess that's true.
Yeah. Well, let's not spoil our next big three, right?
Doom.
Yeah. We'll do that one in 10 years.
Doom was the first one I thought of. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Rock.
Also, the Street Fighter movie.
Don't watch the other Doom movie. It's really bad.
Mm-hmm.
Doom Annihilation or something.
There's Barbie and Oppenheimer too.
The Mattel Cinematic Universe is coming.
There were Dead Space movies?
Yeah, animated.
Yeah.
Haven't we talked about this? Animated with the same art style as like the Men in Black TV show. We've definitely brought this up on the podcast before.
I think so.
I think that they're free to watch on YouTube, like as like officially free to watch on YouTube. Like it's just a movie.
Wow.
Right. Well, we've been going for an hour. Should we try to attempt to see who would win this little bracket? This
got to bring up the list again.
Yeah, so we've got my list is Spider-Man 2, X-Men Origins Wolverine, Dragon Ball Evolution. Stretch, you've got
Toy Story 2, Lego Star Wars, and Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. Rut is with Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, Lion King for the Genesis, and Star Wars The Phantom Menace. And then Otten has GoldenEye 007, Ratchet and Clank for the PlayStation 4, and Tron.
So what do we do from here? Do we argue? Is this like super fight rules? Like,
well, who can we all agree is the loser? No, let's just get them out of the way.
I mean, I think like part of me is thinking is as much as we all like all of us have at least
league, or
I don't know what that means.
Nobody else is gonna get that.
Can you speak in like English?
Points per reception. Sorry.
As I think all of us do have at least one good game in our stable, but I feel like only one of us has a legendary, impactful, genre-defining game on this list.
Yeah,
Toy Story 2. It was huge.
That's exactly what I was thinking of. Not GoldenEye 007 for sure.
Wow.
Oh, he kind of ruins it with the third choice though.
Like we could. I
so?
would be curious.
I like the Tron pick.
I mean, the Tron, that's a classic.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think Stretch's got a pretty good list there. I think people wouldn't necessarily think of Toy Story 2. Like people probably didn't play it as much. I don't think a lot of people don't know about it, but like actually all the Toy Story games are weirdly good. Even Toy Story 3. It's kind of pretty cool.
Awesome. Very much not related to the movie.
Not very much related to the movie, but like kind of like you're playing in the Wild West world that was more in 2, weirdly, not in 3. But Toy Story 2 is a good pick. I think it'd be an often overlooked one, I think, for people.
I mean, what do we want to, if we're looking at my list and at your list, Otten, do we want to throw a poll up somewhere? And
we put everybody on it at that point. Who's
we can put it up on Twitter, see what people say.
Yeah,
or
who had the best licensed game
It's not called Twitter anymore, you dumb fuck.
Shitter. It's called
put it up on X.
It's literally called Shitter.
Yeah, there you go.
It's called whatever's left of the sign that they tried to take down.
We'll catch us on MySpace. Comment on my MySpace post.
Chilling with Tom.
We're gonna set up a GeoCities page. You guys go there and vote.
Yeah, change your
GeoCities,
MSN
Angel Fire
little brief.
We're actually gonna resurrect the WoW server forums, and we're all gonna pick a server and put it on there.
Oh yeah.
Bleeding
Hollow, let's go.
Or if you're on YouTube, a modern platform, throw it in the comments down below.
I guess we could put a comment
what's
in the
a
description
YouTube?
that's like who had the best list.
Yeah. I don't know. I think.
What about MyTube?
MyTube. I don't want to know about your tube.
What is MyTube?
Okay, let's go with the tubes because I've had enough of this on Twitter this week.
Yeah.
MyTube! Exclamation point! It's on the Microsoft App Store.
Oh no.
It's probably just YouTube.
Probably malware. Please don't download it.
Is this his shadow 4th pick?
It's just a YouTube client.
Yeah, it's called it.
It's called a browser.
Yeah, because I feel like my picks, aside from Spider-Man 2, are like the people who are fans of those games are like, fuck yeah, I'm glad that they're picked. Outside of that,
dude, MyTube.com is for sale, Rhett. You can buy it. Nobody has it.
We've got some excellent
Why would I do that if I
representation
could get
across the board for these licensed titles. I think that most of these games are good. I'd say that the majority of these games are good, and that licensed games probably got poor slack based on the mounds of shit.
I'd say these are mostly kind of decent-ish.
Yeah.
Games.
There was some hesitation. There was definitely like 3 or 4 words going through your brain.
Licensed games that got like
they're more
insanely
good than bad. No. Like a movie tie-in game that like was like, oh, everybody loves this. There's not one.
Yeah, like I guess that's the thing too, is if you are for some reason thinking like, man, I want to explore some old school movie tie-in games.
Actually, the closest would be old school. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, just start with our list. I feel like our list.
That's a pretty good start.
Yeah,
you'll at least have an okay time.
And I think the closest to actually what people like was relatively well received. Like, oh, this is a pretty good game. Is probably that Ratchet and Clank game.
Yeah,
actually, it's probably the only one.
I don't know. Spider-Man 2, I feel like is looked back on pretty
2,
fondly.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah, I mean,
like it's still held up as one of the best Spider-Man games to come out, and there have been a fuck.
I wonder. Games. I truly wonder though, after playing,
playing
Insomniacs and Miles Morales, how's it actually gonna be? I might try that out this weekend. This weekend, I think I'm gonna play Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you're gonna be like, oh boy, all this. I gotta hit the button in the cutscene.
Yeah, there's a lot of QTEs. Yeah.
That's fine. I'm a Final Fantasy 16 fan, so
that's true. You do love them. Should we just talk about that more this week?
No, we can stop talking about that forever.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Yes, let us know which one of us had the best big three. What's the big three of movie tie-ins? What are the big three? What would you consider?
What did we miss?
That's a good question.
What did we miss?
Nothing.
We miss? We're infallible.
But someone's going to comment The Godfather.
Yeah, or Peter Jackson's King Kong.
King Kong.
Don't worry, I didn't miss it. It's on my list. It's just not on my main list.
Yeah.
Or the backup, or the joke one, or the honorable mention one. But it's there. It's definitely there.
And for the other fan, Hulk 2003,
he dropped on the floor,
and the Incredible Hulk 2008. I see you. You can stop writing that comment.
Excellent.
Yeah. Well, I guess let us know down below which one you think wins here, which one's the best. But I think this is a good place for a wrap for TechRaptor Podcast Nights, which. Honestly, this episode has had some Nights energy. Not gonna lie,
it has.
Definitely.
I think this new format's just gonna have a lot of Nights energy.
And I'm here.
We're just gonna duke it out over something every week.
100%. And while you're leaving that comment down below, also feel free to leave us a review on whatever podcast platform you're listening on, or hit a thumbs up button. Hit subscribe if you haven't already on whatever platform you have us on. It would really help us out, with the algorithms and all that stuff, because we're trying some new shit out here, and we hope you are enjoying it and having as much fun as we are making these weird lists, debating these weird things, and having a lot of fun with just things in the video game space. If you want more from us, we're always writing reviews, news, features, etc. at techraptor.net. Man, I need to eat. Or if
eat, kids.
If you want more of this show, we will be back next week in your feed, and we will see you then. Goodbye.